Badge. The word hit Ayaan before the cold morning air did. The security guard didn't look at his face. Just his hoodie. His backpack. His skin. "I'm here for the Youth Innovation Summit," Ayaan said. His voice stayed calm. Practiced calm. The guard stepped in front of the glass doors. "No badge. No entry. I was told to pick it up inside." The guard smirked. "Convenient." Behind Ayaan, 2 white college students walked up. Loud. Laughing. No badges visible. The guard opened the door for them. "Enjoy the summit, gentlemen." The door closed again. Ayaan felt heat crawl up his neck. "I'm on the speaker list," he said quietly. The guard leaned closer. Coffee breath. Cold eyes. "Kid," he said, voice low, sharp, dangerous. "People like you don't speak at events like this." The world went silent. Cars passing. Flags snapping in wind. His heartbeat loud in his ears. Inside, he could see staff setting up lights. Screens glowing. Rows of chairs waiting. His name was supposed to be on that stage. His hands tightened on his backpack strap. "I'm not leaving," Ayaan said. The guard grabbed his radio. Front entrance. Possible disturbance. Ayaan's stomach dropped. Because 3 police officers were already walking toward the building. And one of them was staring directly at him. The wind pushed against the glass doors. Ayaan stepped closer anyway. "Badge," the guard said. "I told you," Ayaan said, keeping his voice steady. "I pick it up inside." The guard shook his head. "Not how this works." Ayaan swallowed. "Can you check the list?" "You're already causing a delay," the guard said. "Step back." "I'm not trying to cause." "Step back." Ayaan took 1 step back. His heart was beating too fast. 3 police officers walked toward them. 1 tall, 1 older, 1 younger, watching everything. The tall officer spoke first. "What's going on?" The guard pointed. "Refusing to leave. Claims he's a speaker." The officer looked Ayaan up and down. "You got ID?" "Yes," Ayaan said quickly. He reached slowly into his pocket. "Slow," the officer said. "Real slow." Ayaan handed over his wallet. The officer flipped through it. "You live across town," he said. "Yes." "Long way to come just to stand outside." "I told you," Ayaan said. "I'm speaking here." The older officer sighed. "Son, don't make today harder than it needs to be." "I'm not," Ayaan said. "Please just check." "You raising your voice?" the tall officer asked. "No," Ayaan said quickly. "I'm not." People walked past. Some stared. No one stopped. The younger officer said quietly, "Why are you here?" "I'm keynote speaker," Ayaan said. The guard laughed under his breath. The tall officer noticed. Didn't correct him. "Do you have proof?" the officer asked. "Yes." Ayaan reached for his backpack. "Stop," the officer said sharply. "Ask first." "I have papers," Ayaan said. "In my bag." "Open it slow." Ayaan unzipped the bag. Hands shaking now. He pulled out the folder. Handed it over. The officer flipped through pages. Agenda. Email printouts. Travel confirmation. The officer shrugged. "Could be fake." "It's not," Ayaan said. The guard said. He showed up arguing. "Wouldn't leave." "I wasn't arguing," Ayaan said. The tall officer stepped closer. "Here's the thing," he said quietly. "Private event. Private property. They say leave, you leave." "I was invited," Ayaan said. "Do you work here?" the officer asked. "No." "Do you have a badge?" the officer asked. "No, because." "Then you're not authorized." Ayaan felt something break inside his chest. "I'm supposed to get it inside," he said again. The older officer rubbed his forehead. "Son," he said. "Help me help you. Walk away. Call whoever you think invited you." "I can't," Ayaan said. "I speak in 1 hour." The tall officer looked at the guard. The guard nodded slightly. Decision made. The tall officer handed back the folder. "Turn around," he said. Ayaan froze. "Why?" he whispered. "For officer safety." "I didn't do anything." "Turn around." "I didn't do anything," Ayaan said louder. The officer's hand moved near his cuffs. "You're escalating," the officer said. "I'm not escalating," Ayaan said, voice shaking now. "I'm trying to go to work." The younger officer shifted uncomfortably. The tall officer stepped closer. "Hands behind your back," he said. The words landed like a punch. Around them, phones started lifting. Recording. Watching. Waiting. Ayaan closed his eyes for 1 second. Then opened them. because across the glass doors, he saw someone inside the lobby, running toward the entrance. And whoever it was, looked like they recognized him. Hands behind your back. Ayaan's ears rang. I didn't do anything, he said. His voice sounded smaller than he wanted. The tall officer stepped closer. Last warning. I'm supposed to be inside, Ayaan said. Please just call. Turn around, the officer said. The younger officer shifted. Maybe we can verify with. Turn. Around, the tall officer repeated. Ayaan slowly turned. Cold air hit the back of his neck. His hands trembled as he placed them behind him. Metal clicked. Not tight, but not loose either. People stopped walking now. Phones lifted higher. The guard crossed his arms, watching like this was normal. Ayaan swallowed. I need to call my mentor, he said quietly. Her name is. No phones right now, the tall officer said. I'm not resisting, Ayaan said quickly. Good, the older officer said. Then this stays simple. Ayaan stared at the ground. Black polished shoes stepped into his view. Someone from inside was trying to push through the doors. But security inside was holding them back, confused. Am I under arrest? Ayaan asked. Not yet, the tall officer said. Not yet. The word stuck in his chest. I didn't break any law, Ayaan said. You're being detained, the officer said. Until we figure out what's going on. I told you what's going on. You're claiming something, the officer corrected. The guard added. He got aggressive when I asked him to leave. Ayaan's head snapped up. I did not. Lower your voice, the officer snapped. I'm not yelling, Ayaan said. You are now, the officer said. The younger officer looked between them. A crowd is forming, he said quietly. Let them watch, the tall officer said. Ayaan's heart pounded harder. I have emails, he said. Call the event organizer. Please. The older officer sighed. What's the event called? Youth Innovation Summit, Ayaan said fast. The older officer pulled out his phone. Typed slowly. The tall officer watched Ayaan the whole time. Like he was waiting. Like he wanted one wrong move. The older officer squinted at his screen. Yeah. Event exists. I told you, Ayaan said. Doesn't mean you're part of it, the tall officer said. Ayaan closed his eyes. Open them again. Please, he said. The guard spoke again. He refused to leave when asked. I asked for verification, Ayaan said. That's not refusing. That's arguing, the guard said. That's advocating for myself, Ayaan said quietly. The tall officer stepped closer again. You think this is a debate, he said. No, Ayaan said. I think this is my life. Silence. The younger officer looked down. The older officer kept scrolling. Kid, the tall officer said quietly. You fit a pattern. Ayaan felt ice move through his chest. What pattern? He asked. People who show up places they don't belong, the officer said. The words were soft, but heavy. I belong here, Ayaan said. The officer tilted his head. Then why didn't they tell security you were coming? They did, Ayaan said. The guard snorted. No one told me. Ayaan felt his throat tighten. I got confirmation emails, he said again. The older officer finally spoke. There's a speaker list online. Hope sparked. Check it, Ayaan said quickly. Please check it. The older officer scrolled. Stopped. His eyebrows lifted slightly. Then flattened again. List says Ayaan Khan, he said. Yes, Ayaan said. That's me. The tall officer held out his hand. ID. The older officer passed it. The tall officer stared at it. Then at Ayaan. Then back at it. You look young, he said. I am young, Ayaan said. That's part of why I was invited. The officer said nothing. Just stared. A long, heavy stare. The guard shifted. Anyone can fake ID. I didn't fake anything, Ayaan said. The tall officer handed the ID back to the older officer. Then leaned close to Ayaan again. Close enough that Ayaan could see tiny red lines in his eyes. You nervous? The officer asked. Yes, Ayaan said honestly. Why? The officer asked. Because I'm handcuffed outside a building I was invited into, Ayaan said. The younger officer exhaled slowly. The older officer put the phone away. The tall officer stepped back half a step. Then said quietly, Dispatch just sent something through. Ayaan's stomach dropped. The officer tapped his radio. Listened. His jaw tightened. He looked back at Ayaan. Eyes colder now. Harder. More certain. Well, the officer said slowly. This just got more complicated. Ayaan's pulse roared in his ears. What does that mean? He asked. The officer adjusted his gloves. Looked him dead in the eyes. You match a description. You match a description. The words didn't sound loud, but they crushed the air around Ayaan. A description of what? He asked. The tall officer didn't answer right away. Instead, he adjusted his radio. Male. Dark hoodie. Backpack, the officer said finally. Ayaan's stomach dropped. That's half the people walking downtown, Ayaan said. The guard smirked. Not my problem. I didn't do anything, Ayaan said. His voice cracked now. Just a little. The older officer spoke softer. Dispatch says possible disturbance reported 2 blocks over. What kind of disturbance? Ayaan asked. No details yet, the tall officer said. Which is why we're figuring it out. I've been standing here, Ayaan said. Ask the cameras. Ask the people walking in. The guard crossed his arms. He showed up agitated. I was not agitated, Ayaan said. You raised your voice, the guard said. I asked to be checked against the list, Ayaan said. That's not how entry works, the guard said. That's how fairness works, Ayaan said quietly. The tall officer stepped closer again. You keep pushing, he said. I'm explaining, Ayaan said. Same difference, the officer said. A woman standing nearby lifted her phone higher. Recording everything. The younger officer noticed. You might want to stop recording, he told her. I'm allowed to record in public, she said. The tall officer ignored her. Let's simplify this, he said to Ayaan. You say you belong here. Yes. You say you're a speaker. Yes. You have no badge. Because it's inside. You refused to leave when asked. I asked for verification. You kept talking after being told to step back. Ayaan blinked. That's not illegal, he said. The officer shrugged. Depends. Ayaan felt cold now. Cold inside his chest. I want a supervisor, Ayaan said. The guard laughed out loud. You think this is customer service? The tall officer's voice dropped lower. You don't get to make demands, he said. I'm asking for protection, Ayaan said quietly. From who? The officer asked. Ayaan looked at the cuffs around his wrists. Didn't answer. The silence stretched. Then the older officer spoke. Let's sit him on the curb. I can stand, Ayaan said quickly. Sit, the tall officer said. I didn't do anything wrong. Sit, the officer repeated. Ayaan slowly lowered himself to the curb. Cold concrete pressed through his jeans. People walked around him now. Staring. Whispering. The woman recording stepped closer. What's his name? She asked. The guard snapped. Ma'am, step back. She didn't move. What's your name? She asked Ayaan. Ayaan, he said quietly. The tall officer shot him a look. You don't need to answer questions from bystanders, he said. She asked my name, Ayaan said. You don't need to engage, the officer said. Ayaan nodded. The younger officer crouched slightly. Why didn't you call someone before coming? He asked quietly. I did, Ayaan said. They said come straight to front entrance. The officer nodded once, then stood back up quickly when the tall officer looked over. The guard spoke again. He kept reaching into his bag. Made me uncomfortable. I told you what I was grabbing, Ayaan said. Could have been anything, the guard said. It was paper, Ayaan said. The tall officer held up the folder. These, he said. Yes. The officer flipped through again. Slow. Like he was looking for something to justify what was happening. He stopped at the printed agenda again. Read Ayaan's name. Then flipped past it. These don't mean anything, he said. They mean everything, Ayaan said. The officer's jaw tightened. You're not helping yourself, he said. I'm telling the truth, Ayaan said. The older officer's radio crackled. He turned slightly away. Listened. Then turned back. They want us to verify identity, he said. Already did, the tall officer said. They want confirmation from event staff, the older officer said. Hope flickered again inside Ayaan. Yes, he said quickly. Please. Yes. The tall officer didn't move right away. Just stared at him, like he was deciding something. Then he spoke into the radio. Front entrance. Need event rep outside. Static answered. Then a voice. Stand by. Ayaan exhaled slowly. The woman recording whispered. You're going to be okay. He nodded once, but his stomach still twisted. Because the tall officer was still staring at him. Still looking unconvinced. Still looking like he'd already decided who Ayaan was. Minutes stretched. Cars passed. People whispered. Then the radio cracked again. "Front in trance," the voice said. "Event staff says they're missing their keynote speaker." The tall officer didn't react. Didn't blink. Just looked down at Ayaan. Then said quietly, "Then you better hope that's not a coincidence." Inside the conference center, everything looked perfect. Lights warm. Screens glowing. Volunteers smiling. But backstage. "Where is he?" the event coordinator whispered. "He landed this morning," another staff member said. "Car service confirmed drop-off." "Then why isn't he answering?" The coordinator checked her phone again. 3 missed calls. 2 emails marked urgent. Her chest tightened. "Did anyone check the lobby?" she asked. "He's not here," a volunteer said. "I checked twice." Across the room, Director Farah Malik stood near the stage, reading the printed program again. 10 a.m., Keynote. Ayaan Khan. She checked her watch. 9:14 a.m. Too early to panic. But something felt wrong. "Try calling again," she said. The coordinator dialed. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. Director Malik frowned. "He's not the type to ghost," she said. Outside, Ayaan sat on the curb, hands cuffed, cold wind biting through his hoodie. The tall officer stood over him. "You nervous?" the officer asked. Ayaan didn't answer. "You should be," the guard added quietly. The younger officer shifted his weight. "Dispatch hasn't confirmed anything," he said. The tall officer ignored him. "You said you spoke here today," the officer said. "Yes." "What were you going to talk about?" Ayaan swallowed. "Ethical AI," he said. The guard snorted. "You?" Ayaan looked down at the ground. "Yes," he said quietly. The tall officer tilted his head. "Explain it," he said. Ayaan blinked. "What?" "Explain it," the officer repeated. "Ethical AI." Ayaan hesitated, then spoke. "Systems can learn bias," he said. "From people. From data. If you don't correct it, it keeps repeating harm." The officer stared at him, then gave a small, humorless smile. "Interesting," he said. Inside, Director Malik walked toward the front lobby. "Pull up social media," she said suddenly. The coordinator frowned. "Why?" "Just do it." The coordinator opened her phone. Scrolled. Then froze. "Oh no," she whispered. "What?" Director Malik said. The coordinator turned the screen. A video. Front entrance. Police. Security guard. A teen in cuffs. Director Malik stepped closer. The video zoomed slightly. Ayaan's face turned toward the camera. Director Malik's breath left her lungs. "That's him," she said. The room around her blurred. "How long ago was this posted?" she asked. 7 minutes. Director Malik was already walking fast. "Call legal," she said. "Now." Outside, the older officer's radio crackled. Front entrance. Event director en route. The tall officer nodded slightly. Ayaan looked up. Hope flickered. The guard shifted nervously for the first time. The younger officer looked relieved. But the tall officer just crossed his arms. "Let's see what she says," he muttered. Minutes felt like hours. Then, the front doors burst open. Director Malik stepped outside. Fast. Sharp. Furious but controlled. Her eyes scanned. Found Ayaan instantly. She stopped. For 1 second, pure shock crossed her face. Then she walked forward. "What is happening?" she said. Professional voice. Cold. Controlled. The tall officer spoke. "Ma'am, we have a situation involving." "That is my keynote speaker," she said. Silence dropped like glass breaking. The guard's face went pale. The younger officer exhaled hard. The older officer straightened. The tall officer blinked once. Then again. "You're sure?" he said. "I invited him personally," she said. Ayaan felt his chest loosen for the first time. The tall officer looked at the cuffs. Then at the guard. Then back at Director Malik. "Well," he said slowly. "That changes things." Director Malik stepped closer to Ayaan. "Take those off," she said. Not loud. Not yelling. But absolute. The tall officer hesitated. Then reached for the key. The cuffs clicked open. Blood rushed back into Ayaan's wrists. He didn't move. Didn't stand yet. Because the tall officer was still watching him. Still measuring him. Still deciding something. Then the officer spoke quietly. We were responding to a report, he said. Director Malik's eyes hardened. Good, she said. Because now you're going to explain exactly what report. The cuffs were off, but the air still felt tight. Ayaan rubbed his wrists slowly. Didn't stand yet. Didn't trust his legs. Director Malik stood between him and the officers now. Start talking, she said. The tall officer cleared his throat. We received a disturbance report, he said. From who? She asked. We're verifying that, he said. The guard shifted beside him. Director Malik turned slightly. Did you call police on my keynote speaker? She asked. I reported suspicious behavior, the guard said. What behavior? She asked. He refused to leave, the guard said. I asked for verification, Ayaan said quietly. Director Malik nodded once, then turned back to the officers. Did anyone check our registration list? She asked. The older officer spoke carefully. Yes, ma'am. And, she asked. It does list him, he admitted. Then why was he handcuffed? She asked. Silence. Cars passed behind them. Phones were still recording. The woman who had been filming stepped closer again. There are already thousands of views, she said quietly. The tall officer's jaw tightened. This isn't helping, he said. It's documenting, she replied. Ayaan slowly stood. His legs felt weak, but he stood straight. I told you, he said softly. The tall officer looked at him. Something colder now. Defensive. You matched a description, he said again. Of what? Director Malik asked. Possible suspect 2 blocks away, he said. Then why detain him here? She asked. Procedure, he said. Procedure, she repeated slowly. The word sounded heavy. Inside the building, staff had started gathering behind the glass doors. Watching. Whispering. The younger officer spoke quietly. We were waiting for confirmation. Director Malik turned to him. And during that time, she said, you decided cuffs were necessary? He didn't answer. The guard spoke again, faster now. He was reaching into his bag, he said. For paperwork, Ayaan said. You don't know that, the guard said. I told you, Ayaan said. The tall officer raised his hand slightly. Everyone calm down, he said. Ayaan laughed once. Short. Bitter. I was calm, he said. The officer's eyes narrowed. You're getting emotional, he said. I was handcuffed in public, Ayaan said. Yes. I'm emotional. The woman recording said quietly. You're doing fine. The tall officer snapped. Ma'am, step back. She didn't move. No, she said. Director Malik crossed her arms. Is he being charged with anything? She asked. No, the tall officer said. Then why is he still being detained? She asked. The word hung there. Detained. The older officer shifted. We were verifying identity, he said. You have verified it, she said. Silence again. The tall officer adjusted his gloves. Then said slowly, we can't just walk away if there's a possible threat. Ayaan felt something crack inside again. I was standing outside a door, he said. The officer didn't answer. The guard spoke again. He was arguing. I was advocating, Ayaan said. Same thing, the guard muttered. Director Malik turned sharply. No, she said. Her voice cut through everything. That is not the same thing. The younger officer looked down. The older officer rubbed his neck. The tall officer exhaled, then spoke into his radio quietly. Front entrance. Situation stabilizing. Static answered. Then dispatch replied. Copy. Do you still require unit support? The tall officer hesitated, then said, Stand by. Ayaan's stomach tightened again. Director Malik stepped closer. Is he free to go inside? She asked. The officer didn't answer immediately. Then, we may need to document statements first, he said. Ayaan closed his eyes. Not again. Director Malik's voice turned ice cold. He is scheduled to speak in 40 minutes, she said. The officer nodded slowly. Then said, We're detaining him briefly. For safety. The word detonated in Ayaan's chest. Detaining? Director Malik said. He's not under arrest, the officer said quickly. But he is not free to leave, she said. Correct, the officer said. The woman recording whispered. Oh my God. The younger officer shifted again. The older officer looked uncomfortable. The tall officer stood firm. Ayaan felt every eye on him. Every phone pointed at him. Every second ticking closer to his speech time. He looked at Director Malik. Then at the building. Then back at the officer. and said quietly, "I'm not a threat." The officer didn't answer, just stared at him, then reached for his radio again, and said, "Dispatch, go ahead and log temporary detention. Dispatch, go ahead and log temporary detention." The words hit harder than the cuffs did. Ayaan felt the world tilt slightly. Director Malik stepped forward fast. "No," she said. Not loud, but sharp enough to cut through the street noise. "No," she repeated. "You are not logging detention for my keynote speaker." The tall officer kept his radio near his mouth. "Ma'am, we have procedure. And I have documentation," she said. She turned to Ayaan. "Ayaan, are you okay?" she asked quietly. He nodded, but his chest still felt tight. "I'm okay," he said. "I just need to get inside." She nodded once, then turned back to the officers. "Remove his name from whatever you just reported," she said. The tall officer lowered the radio slowly. "We still have a report matching." "Then go investigate that," she said. "Because this young man has been standing here the entire time." The younger officer spoke quietly. "She's right," he said. "He hasn't moved from this spot." The tall officer shot him a look. The older officer cleared his throat. "Let's just slow this down," he said. Director Malik stepped closer to the tall officer. Close enough that he had to look down slightly. "I want badge numbers," she said. The guard shifted hard. The tall officer's jaw tightened. "Why?" he asked. "Because this is already online," she said. "And my legal team is already reviewing it." The street felt quieter, like even traffic was listening. The woman recording lowered her phone slightly, but didn't stop recording. The older officer reached up and tapped his badge. "Officer Reynolds," he said. The younger officer followed. "Officer Diaz." The tall officer hesitated, then tapped his chest. "Officer Grant." Director Malik nodded once, then turned slowly to the guard. "And you?" she asked. The guard swallowed. "Security contractor," he said. "I asked for your name," she said. "Thomas," he said quietly. Director Malik pulled out her phone, typed something, then looked back up. "Ayaan," she said softly. "You're coming inside with me." The tall officer stepped slightly sideways, blocking the path without making it obvious. "We still need statements," he said. Director Malik's eyes hardened. "You can take statements from me," she said. "We need his," the officer said. "You have his name," she said. "You have his ID. You have multiple videos." "We need his verbal statement," the officer said. Ayaan felt the pressure building again. The younger officer spoke carefully. "We can follow up later," he said. The tall officer didn't look at him, just kept watching Ayaan, measuring, judging. Finally, he stepped aside. "Fine," he said. The word didn't sound like agreement. It sounded like postponing something. Director Malik turned and pushed the glass door open. Warm air rushed out. Ayaan stepped forward, then stopped, turned back, looked at the officers. "I hope," he said quietly, "you find whoever you're actually looking for." No one answered. He walked inside. The lobby lights felt too bright, too clean, too normal, like none of that had just happened. Staff rushed forward. "Ayaan, oh my God, are you okay?" the coordinator asked. "I'm okay," he said automatically. Director Malik leaned closer to him. "You do not have to speak today," she said quietly. "Yes," he said. "You just went through something traumatic," she said. "Yes," he repeated. "But I'm still speaking." She studied his face, saw the shake in his hands, saw the tightness in his jaw, then nodded. "Okay," she said. Across the lobby, large screens flashed. "Welcome to the Youth Innovation Summit." Ayaan stared at it. His name would be under that soon. He should have felt proud. Instead, he felt tired. Very tired. Behind the glass doors, he could still see the officers standing outside. Still talking. Still watching the building. Then Director Malik's phone buzzed. She checked it. Her face changed. Not fear. Something colder. Something sharper. "What is it?" Ayaan asked. She turned the screen toward him. A news notification. "Teen detained outside Innovation Summit. Police investigating possible threat." Ayaan's stomach dropped. Because under the headline was a picture of him. On the curb. In cuffs. The photo didn't look like him. Not really. It looked like a headline version of him. Smaller. Guilty. Already judged. Ayaan stared at the screen. "They posted it already?" he asked quietly. Director Malik nodded once. "Local digital news," she said. Fast cycle reporting. They didn't even talk to me, Ayaan said. I know, she said. Across the lobby, staff were whispering now. Phones out. Screens glowing. The coordinator walked over slowly. Is that real? She asked. Yes, Director Malik said. Ayaan swallowed. Do they say my name? He asked. Director Malik scrolled. Yes, she said softly. His chest tightened again. Not cuffs. Not police. This felt worse. Permanent. They're calling me possible suspect, he said. Director Malik exhaled slowly. We are fixing this, she said. How? He asked. By making truth louder than assumptions, she said. Outside, Officer Grant stood with arms crossed. Supervisor vehicle pulled up fast. A woman stepped out. Command presence. No wasted movement. Report, she said. Grant nodded. Disturbance call, he said. Possible suspect match. Security flagged behavior. The supervisor looked toward the building. Then at the guard. Security initiated, she asked. Yes, Grant said. The supervisor turned to Thomas. Explain, she said. Thomas swallowed. He refused to leave, he said. After being denied entry? She asked. Yes, he said. Did you verify credentials? She asked. I asked for badge, he said. That was not my question, she said. Thomas said nothing. Grant spoke. He matched dispatch description, he said. The supervisor held out her hand. Body cam, she said. Grant hesitated, then handed it over. She scrolled. Watched. Her jaw tightened. You escalated fast, she said. He was argumentative, Grant said. He was explaining, she corrected. Grant said nothing. Inside, Director Malik stood with legal counsel on speakerphone. Yes, she said. We have multiple witness videos. Pause. Yes. I want full incident documentation requested. Pause. Yes. Today. She hung up, then turned to Ayaan. They are requesting body cam footage, she said. Ayaan nodded slowly. Good, he said. But his voice sounded empty. Are you sure you can still speak? She asked. Yes, he said again. But softer this time. The coordinator stepped closer. The audience is starting to arrive, she said. Ayaan looked toward the conference hall doors. He could hear voices now. Laughter. Coffee cups clinking. Normal morning sounds. Like the world hadn't tilted for him. Director Malik's phone buzzed again. Another message. She read it, then looked up. The police supervisor is requesting to speak with us, she said. Ayaan nodded once. Okay, he said. Outside. The supervisor stood straighter when Director Malik and Ayaan stepped out. Mr. Khan, she said. I'm Captain Ellis. Ayaan nodded. I want to apologize, she said. Grant shifted beside her. This situation escalated improperly, she said. Director Malik crossed her arms. We will be reviewing everything, Captain Ellis continued. Yes, Director Malik said. You will. Captain Ellis nodded. Security footage? She asked. Already being preserved, Director Malik said. Captain Ellis turned to Grant. Badge and body cam will be submitted for review, she said. Grant's jaw tightened, but he nodded. Thomas looked like he might disappear into the sidewalk. Ayaan stood very still. Captain Ellis turned back to him. You were not a suspect, she said clearly. You were not under investigation. You were detained prematurely. The words mattered, but they didn't erase the photo. The headline. The comments already forming online. Thank you, Ayaan said quietly. Captain Ellis nodded once, then turned and walked back to her vehicle. Grant followed, not looking at Ayaan, not looking at anyone. Thomas stayed frozen. Director Malik turned to him. We will be terminating your contract, she said. Thomas's face went gray. I was just doing my job, he whispered. You were doing it wrong, she said. Inside, a staff member ran toward them. Press is calling, she said. Director Malik nodded. Of course they are. She turned to Ayaan. You control the story now, she said. He nodded slowly, then asked, what if I don't want to? She studied him, then said quietly, then speak anyway. Ayaan looked toward the stage doors, toward the room full of people waiting to hear him talk about fairness, about systems, about bias. His chest hurt, but he straightened his shoulders, because the coordinator leaned in and whispered, You're on in 6 minutes. 6 minutes. Ayaan stood backstage. The lights from the stage spilled across the floor like a sunrise. Muffled crowd noise filled the air. Coffee cups. Chairs moving. Low conversations. Normal sounds. But his hands were still shaking. The coordinator adjusted his mic wire. "You ready?" she asked softly. "No." "Yes," he said. Director Malik stepped beside him. "You don't have to mention anything that happened," she said. Ayaan stared at the stage entrance. "I know," he said. "But I'm going to." She nodded. The host's voice echoed through the hall. "Please welcome our keynote speaker, Ayaan Khan." Applause started. Warm. Polite. Expecting inspiration. Ayaan stepped onto the stage. The lights hit him hard. For a second he couldn't see faces. Just brightness. Then, rows of people appeared. Hundreds. Watching him. Waiting. He walked to the podium. Set his notes down. Didn't open them. His chest felt tight. His throat dry. He adjusted the mic. And said, "Good morning." The room quieted. "I plan to talk about ethical AI today," he said. Soft nods in the audience. "But something happened outside this building this morning." Silence deepened. "I was stopped at the door," he said. Still calm. Still controlled. "I was told I didn't belong here." A shift moved through the crowd. Discomfort. Recognition. "Then I was handcuffed," he said. A sharp inhale moved through the front rows. Ayaan let the silence sit. Then continued. "I'm not telling you this because I'm angry," he said. Pause. "I'm telling you this because this is exactly what bias looks like when it becomes system." People leaned forward. Phones lowered. Eyes locked on him. "Bias is not always loud," he said. "Sometimes it sounds like, 'Show me your badge.' You match a description. We're just following procedure." No one moved. No one coughed. "I designed systems that learn from data," he said. "And today, I was reminded that systems learn from us." He stepped away from the podium slightly. Hands visible. Open. "When data repeats fear," he said, "systems repeat fear. When data repeats suspicion," he said, "systems repeat suspicion." He looked across the audience. Eye contact. Row by row. "And when people repeat bias," he said quietly, "systems automate it." Someone in the back whispered, "Wow." Ayaan exhaled slowly. "I was lucky today," he said. "I had documentation. I had people who stepped in. I had a platform." His voice softened. "Many people don't." The room felt heavier now. More honest. "I am still going to give the talk I prepared," he said. "But I needed to tell you why it matters." He picked up his notes. Didn't look at them. Just held them. "Ethical AI isn't about code," he said. "It's about courage." He paused. Then said, "It's about building systems that ask better questions before they decide who belongs." The room went completely silent. Then, applause started. Not loud at first. Then louder. Then standing. Rows rising. Wave after wave. Ayaan swallowed hard. Because he wasn't sure if he wanted to cry. Or sleep. Or just leave. He finished the full technical portion of his talk. Clear. Sharp. Controlled. But every word carried weight now. When he finished, the applause came again. Stronger. Longer. As he stepped off stage, Director Malik met him. Eyes shining. "You changed that room," she said. "I hope I changed more than that," he said. Behind them, staff rushed forward. "Press wants interviews," the coordinator said. "National outlets," another staff member added. Ayaan nodded slowly. Then stopped. Because across the lobby, large screens were now showing. Breaking update. Keynote speaker mistakenly detained. Police review underway. Director Malik looked at him. "This is moving fast," she said. Ayaan nodded. But his stomach still felt heavy. Because his phone buzzed. Over and over. Messages. Mentions. News alerts. And one message from an unknown number. "You embarrassed the department today." Ayaan stared at the screen. Because a second message appeared. "This isn't over." The buzz of the news alerts didn't stop. Ayaan sat in a quiet corner of the conference hall, drinking lukewarm water. His keynote was done. Applause still echoed in his ears. But victory felt complicated. Director Malik came over, phone in hand. "They're reviewing the footage," she said. Ayaan nodded slowly. "They can't ignore it now," she added. Outside, the police supervisor, Captain Ellis, had called a meeting with Internal Affairs. Officer Grant had been pulled from active duty. Thomas, the guard, was suspended pending termination. Ayaan exhaled slowly. Some justice had arrived. But the headlines lingered. Teen detained at summit, police review underway. Keynote speaker stops bias in action. Security blunder sparks national conversation on racial profiling. Even online comments carried weight. Some supportive, some defensive, some hateful. He scrolled for a moment, then stopped. Closed the phone. Because no number of approvals could erase the trauma of being treated like a threat for simply showing up. Director Malik touched his shoulder lightly. "You did something today," she said. "Something bigger than a talk," he said quietly. "People saw what bias looks like," she said. "And it can't hide anymore." Ayaan nodded. The coordinator appeared beside him. "The press wants you," she said. "I know," he said. He stood shoulders back, chest tight but steady. The room outside was buzzing again. Lights. Cameras. Phones. He walked toward them. Prepared to answer. Prepared to explain. Prepared to be a witness to truth. Because justice wasn't clean. It never was. It was slow. It was messy. And it was emotional. But justice was coming. Captain Ellis had already confirmed internal investigations. Grant would face disciplinary action. Thomas would lose his contract. The organization implementing the summit faced scrutiny and accountability. Ayaan exhaled again. He thought about the curb, the cold concrete, the cuffs, the whispered stares, the silence of witnesses who didn't speak up. But also the courage of the woman filming, the audience waiting inside, Director Malik insisting on truth. He walked into the press room. Questions fired at him. Fast. Sharp. Focused on what happened. Focused on why it happened. Focused on who would be held accountable. He answered carefully, truthfully, without rage. The weight of the morning didn't vanish. But it had a purpose now. Outside, the first legal reports were filed. Body cam footage preserved. Security logs verified. Internal affairs investigating. The headline writers would have to adjust. The story would be told correctly. Ayaan felt the exhaustion settling in. His chest a little heavier. His shoulders a little tighter. But also a little lighter. Because he survived. Because he persisted. Because the system that had tried to block him had, in the end, been forced to recognize him. And he knew. This was only one step. One person. One event. But every step mattered. Every voice mattered. Every truth mattered. He looked out the window of the press room. The street below was bustling. Cars, pedestrians, cameras. Normal. Yet different now. Because bias had been exposed. Authority had been questioned. And Ayaan's story had opened the door, literally and metaphorically, for many who would follow. He exhaled one final time. The hallway echoed with applause from the audience still streaming out. Ayaan's phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from Director Malik. "You were incredible. The room, and more, will never forget this." He smiled faintly. Because the battle had a cost. But the victory, messy as it was, felt real. And he was ready to keep walking forward. Step by step. Voice by voice. Truth by truth. Because the fight for fairness wasn't over. But justice, imperfect, raw, and real, had begun.